line, 1st and 10. Do they take their shot and try and end it right here, first play? Man in motion comes all the way across the formation, sets up 3 receivers bottom of the screen. They're going to try and set up the screenplay to Cole. And he's got it. Cole, he fumbled.
Oh, my
goodness. And the Trojans got the ball. Ball game over.
Oh, my goodness. What a way to end it, man.
Cole marks on the screen, had good yardage. Now let's see. What is it?
Welcome back. It is the 10th edition of the Cole Mantell Show. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, 2 new guests, and a great week of action to recap week 2 of season 21 of the CFSL. And, I'll just get right into it because we got 2 amazing guests who are new and then 1 returning Chaos Quiz champion here to defend his title. We'll start, I guess, with the returnee. I think he was bragging a little bit in the group chat today as we were talking about it. Jacob Cobb, the USC AD. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. I'm excited to be back and defend my Chaos Quiz title.
Well, you got 2 new challengers. And again, USC had a great week. We'll get into that too. I think we'll start with the guy that there's been a little bit of anticipation to have him on just because he's getting near that historic record. We talked about it last week. He tied it in week 1. There was a chance he was going to be on the podcast with the record, but that was a little bit spoiled. Tom Pence, the Florida State AD, we did get him on this week. Tom, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm a little bitter, but I'm okay. I need to get that monkey out foot.
Yeah, we are going to get into that. But what a game that was, as well as so many other good games this week. And then we'll go. What'd you say?
Honored to be here.
Thanks. Yeah. And then the other newcomer, another ACC AD, I believe I'd have to double check, but I'm almost sure the first from this program as well to be on the show, the Miami AD George Yost, we met in Tampa. What was it? Last month before? No, it was 2 months ago. George,
it was the
out.
weekend before Hangout.
Yeah. So I've actually met 2 of you guys in person before. Which is funny enough. I think another CFSL Cole Mantell Show first. But glad to have you on. How you doing?
This old man's tired. It's getting close to my bedtime. I'll take it for the team, though, and I'm very honored to be on here with Jacob and the Knoll father.
One of the better usernames on Discord, if I say so myself. It's great. So I will actually address that. It is Saturday evening. Actually, as we speak, Auburn, my team, is playing right now, and we're finally beating New Mexico, which took us way too long to get a lead in that game. I'm sure we're going to interject some college football stuff in here just because of what's going on. Usually we record on Thursday or Friday, and actually I said this in League Chat. I kind of want to address at the top of the show. During the season, I think we're going to – I'm not sure about this. I'm going to ask you guys in the comments to comment. Do you guys prefer Saturday release or Sunday release? Because when we release on Sundays, obviously this time we had to just because I had some work stuff that came up, and it didn't really make sense to record on a Friday night, so we pushed it back to later Saturday here right now. But it gives us a little bit more lead time. We're going to look at it possibly. Let me know in the comments if you guys are looking at a Saturday release or a Sunday release, or we could just switch it up depending on when we get the guys on the show. That's always a possibility too. But we'll get right into it. That's the only thing I wanted to say at the top of the show. Welcome back, and you guys are listening to this on Sunday. I think we're just going to get right into our biggest story this week. We talked a little bit about it last week when we had Tank from Florida State on the show. So Tom, I'm going to go to you first here for this. Obviously, week 1, you guys beat LSU, great game, and you tie the record with Matt Pack, one of my mentors and the guy who preceded me at Auburn, for the most wins of any AD in CFSL history. Obviously, a little bit of a setback this week, but you guys, let me check again. Who you guys play next week? It is, Penn State Monday night. Just talk about the record, man.
It's it's an honor, and I'll be the first person to tell you I didn't even know I was close to being tied with Pack. I don't really look at the records. I care about the guys that are on my team and the coaches that put in the work with me and the culture we built here. So I I've won a few games, so I knew I had, had a decent record as the AD from season 7 going forward, but had no clue when it was announced that I tied the record. I mean, Matt Pack's a dear friend of mine, and it's an honor to be associated with him for a record. And now it's a lot of pressure. If I hadn't known and somebody had announced in a broadcast that I had passed him to be the winningest AD, it would have been a lot easier for me stress-wise over the last probably week and a half.
Actually, I have a few things on that, but I want to start with that because, first off, credit to Ryan Moreland, the head of our content team in the CFSL. He was the one that actually brought it up, I believe, after week 1. And going from there, when that happened, we had the podcast. I mean, I think it was last week, yeah, with Justin, Cade, and Tank. And when we talked about it, one of the guests on the show, actually mentioned specifically, like, yeah, it's something that Tom really wants, and it's going to be a great thing for Florida State. I think that might have been Tank's view on it. But I mean, now that Florida knows they have the chance to not be the historic win that gets you over the top, Grin, you think that played a little bit into the game plan for the Gators?
I mean, it might have. I don't want to, I'll let the other two ADs put in their input on that game and what they really think about it. But I would say that, everybody hopes I go 1-7 for the rest of the season because nobody wants to be the guy that's asterisked as the team that lost to give me the record. And, Tank's my boy, and I love him to death, and he's just works his butt off every week. So I get him saying it means a lot. It meant a lot to me once I found out. I never thought about it before, but it's like I never look at records. And Cole, you played for me your first, I think, season in the league, and
yeah, season 7.
For me, it's always been about the program, and I would, and I've said this on other podcasts and to Mike and conversations. I would be totally okay if I had a 500 record as an AD and was, middle of the road, but half the ADs in the league were all guys that came from me. And it's not about an ego of the tree. It's about giving back to the league and putting it in a better place. And so, man, I mean, it's an honor to be there. And I think Beard said it best after Tank talked. He's like, well, who's closest to catching? And then I think it was either, I think it was you or it may have been Beard right afterwards, but it was like, well, shit, as long as he keeps staying in the league, who's going to catch him because he's going to keep winning, which makes you, look at your longevity in the league as an AD and when is it time to hand the reins over to somebody else and let them kind of build their dynasty and mark on the league with the program.
Well, yeah, I mean, what was it in Tampa? I know you were in the Hall of Fame. Was it for your AD career specifically, or was it for your player this year?
No, I was a first cornerback to go into the Hall of Fame, and that was 2 years ago. And then this year I went in as an AD and as a user.
Yeah, no. So that was this year was the user.
This year
no,
I went in twice this year.
As a user and the AD, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay. So that that was one of the better speeches I think we've had. I haven't been to all the Hall of Fame ceremonies, but for the ones that I have been to, which is I think 3 of them now, that was maybe one of my favorites. And I don't know if we ever posted it or if Mike has it, but if it's somewhere on the YouTube space, give it a listen. I think it's one of the better speeches, just in general. I don't even think it's CFSL related, but just how Tom approaches being an AD. And I promise we'll let George and Jacob talk here, but I did want to open the show with that just because, it's the first time Tom has been on and we are talking about this record.
I even saw George crying. I don't think there was a dry eye in the entire thing. It was very emotional for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I'll even say that because I'm not going to address, you're gonna do this as long as you're able to do this, and you've been such an institution for this league. I always measure it because my first team in season 7 was playing for you, Tom, and now look at me. I've won a few awards. It's been a while, but I'm still here as a player. I've been an AD. Like I had a whole AD career. I had a whole broadcaster career since you've started being an AD. There's depending on how long you want to do this, there's a realistic chance you hit 100 wins. But you also got a great staff too. I mean, Tank and Wookie. Is there any thought of has any of them approached you of being like, if you ever step down, who you want to replace you?
So there is, yeah. I mean, you look at the tree. Um, every one of them wanted to replace me, and I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, you look at Jacob and you look at George. It's the work they do. Also, it's you get roped into doing this, and it gets in your blood, and listening to Jacob talk a little bit before. He's a Tennessee guy by heart, but Yost is a through and through Kane. And when you get in here, and I'm changing the subject a little bit, when you get here and it's your actual in real life program, it just means that much more to you. But I don't know. This Squiddy would love to have the program. I know GSP would. Those are in real life FSU guys. There's Bracco, who was the first AD at FSU. I don't know I guess the day comes. I just wanted to I want to give it to somebody, and it may even Tank. It may be somebody that hasn't been with me that long or came off my tree. It's just somebody that's going to have, and George can speak to it, that's going to have that much passion towards the program, and just put your heart into it, because you can suck in real life, but here, even though it's a video game, you can represent your school that you bleed, and makes you happy when you win.
Yeah, I think that was well said, Tom. And again, thanks for coming on and doing a full interview. Basically, is what this turned into, which I guess I kind of figured was going to turn into, but yeah, good answer. I brought up Wookie only because he is your quarterback and also has won a few championships at Notre Dame. But of course, it's got to be up to Wookie to want to come back and be an AD. Bracco's another great choice. Obviously, he is your highest ranked coach.
Wookie does want to come back, and I would not be surprised when this guy graduates. He'll be calling Mike and saying, "Hey, I'm ready." And
yeah,
he's one of those guys that even though he's a Golden Domer by heart, whatever program he's at, he's going to give everything he can give.
Yeah, I played for Notre Dame right before he came in, and it's one of those like big what ifs in CFSL history for me, is if I had ever ended up at Notre Dame when he was there, because that was one of the most entertaining teams before Oklahoma State, before Kentucky. That was one of the most entertaining teams, even before your championship for Florida State. One of the most entertaining teams I've ever seen on the field. That I think it was season 11, season 12.
Yeah, I think our run is the team that knocked him off the pedestal. But
Yeah.
I mean, not to take anything from me. I mean, look at what Jacob's done at USC and what Yost has done at Miami. It's like everybody talks about games that I hate playing, and Florida. For me, I hate Florida in real life. I just hate them, but I respect them, and it's just been always one of those nail biters. But we've kind of owned them for the most part. But Miami, Florida State in the league has just been like, it's either going to be a nail biter or the other team's going to kick somebody's ass or something. And Yost has really put his heart into it, and that's probably the game I circle every single season of who I'm going to war with, because he puts an amazing game plan together.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on both sides of that, and I'm with you. One of the most entertaining games in CFSL history was what was it, season 12? I think it was when I was season 12, Miami. And that's why my player's on the CFSL intros, because I had that what was it, like a 100-yard kick return, one of the
Mm-hmm.
craziest plays. And you were on that call. We've talked about it previously on a different podcast as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at Jacob last season.
Yeah.
Probably the best game I played all last season, where it was just like, holy shit, we don't know what's going to happen, and it came down to the end, was the first round of the playoffs. Florida State USC, and it was just and Jacob and I just and even Venom kind of DM'd each other about it. It was just wow, it was a great game.
Yeah, and actually, I'll take that cue as well. Usually, I don't have my other two guests sit for 15 minutes. I apologize for that.
I was trying to kick it back to you guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I I didn't want to turn it into a one-on-one. So Jacob, I'll get your thoughts real quick here too.
Yeah, I mean, I think as an AD in this league, you want to have sustained success, right? We know that now more than ever, like there just isn't going to be a team that probably wins back to back or is in the championship game year after year because there's so much parity in the league. But if you can get your program to a point where year after year you are having success, you're a team that people want to beat because you've been successful, like Gren has. I think that's kind of the standard for ADs in this league.
And George, I know you wanted to probably butt in a little bit here too with the Miami FSU rivalry. Oop, I think you're muted. All good, George? We can throw in chat maybe.
Oh no.
Nope. Maybe it's another. It's never a Cole Mantell show without some kind of audio issue. Usually we get it fixed beforehand. Oop.
Can you hear me or no?
There we
There you
go.
go.
Okay.
Don't worry, not the first guy to do that.
Well, they basically covered everything. I'll take it a little bit different direction. I enjoy the rivalry games. It kind of gives you that extra motivation to get it done that week, and I also enjoy the end of recruiting. I think during recruiting it can get kind of aggravating, but after recruiting, you got your team, you know what you're dealing with. I enjoy trying to finalize that playbook.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, we've talked. That was more of the off-season conversation. We've talked a lot about recruiting, and it can be aggravating. That's one of the big reasons I stepped down is because I just did not have the time for it. And I know you have to build a big staff for it. I know Grin's very good at it. I even would say we talked about Beard earlier, and pretty much everyone in this room is, I would say, top 5 recruiters in the country. It's just one of those things where you gotta keep at it. And yeah, I'm with you, George. I get it. All right. Well, that's a good segment for that. I think I'll put a pin in that there. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about this when we get into the games upcoming. But um, again, great to have all three of you on here. Tom, congratulations again for tying the record. We'll see if you beat your rival's brother on Monday night to get that record. 8:30 Central on Twitch Monday on the 16th. Alrighty, we'll actually move on. I've put this in the group chat for you guys because I know you guys probably have voted already. But I did want to talk about some of the big performances this week. Offensive Player of the Week nominees. We had quarterback Jalen Tyree out of Ohio State, wide receiver Eden Ballard, also of Ohio State, both in the 56-17 win over Georgia. You had wide receiver Troy Tree for Alabama, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns in a win over Oregon. We had the Florida quarterback Jack Schmidt, obviously in the upset win over FSU that we're talking about here. We had my teammate halfback Jet Sims for Michigan State in the 55-6, win over Tennessee. And then finally Bo Yost for Miami. We have the Miami AD. I'm sure he wants to talk about him a little bit here too. In the win over Colorado. And actually, yeah, we talked a lot with Tom here, so I'll give him a little bit of a rest with his voice. George, if you want to start, talk about your player, and I assume you voted for him for Offensive Player of the Week.
The people in my chat, like I didn't even put it in the locker room with the vote. Dobbins had to. I have a hard time always promoting my player. So, because I want the team to get the rewards. And so, yeah, I didn't vote for myself. I
Yeah.
voted for Ohio State quarterback.
Well, yeah, I'll let you explain that to your locker room. Go ahead.
But no, Bo did a great job that game. It was the pass kind of set up the run And then once the run got established, he started getting longer and longer runs.
It seems it was kind of, yeah. I caught a little bit of that game. I know Colorado, much improved team this year. I'll even add that in there. But I think it was a good game from what I saw. And you guys get Michigan this week too. It's not as easy, in non-conference play for you. But all right, George. We'll move on from that.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to mute for a second. Had a little issue. Player of the week for me offensively, it was very much a toss-up between Bo Yost because I have so much respect for the running back and people trying to establish a running game in the league again. But my vote went for Ballard because it's 3 touchdowns. The quarterbacks always get the glam, but I mean, he did the same thing basically that Axis did last week and a little bit more, and that's who I thought was just an amazing performance.
Yeah, you're all good, Grin. I think I was asking. Well, no, I was asking George about Colorado, and then I might have accidentally said Grin, so no
Sorry.
big deal. No. Yeah, it's on me. Yeah, Jacob as well. Your vote.
Yeah, I voted for Troy Tree, the wide receiver from Bama. I think a wide receiver, anytime you get double digit catches, like you are involved in the game plan, you're a big part of what they're doing. But then to also get to 246 and 3 touchdowns and a dominating win, like anytime you see a receiver over that 200 mark, that always catches my eye. And the only reason I went with him over Ballard was just the catches and being consistently involved in the offense.
Yeah, he was definitely one of my candidates as well. I wrote about him in the SEC article that was released today, and we're recording this on Saturday, so it'll be yesterday for you guys. Um, very, very great game for him. I had to vote for my teammate, but I'll shout him out. 4 combined touchdowns. I mean, it was only 54 yards rushing, but 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 catch for a touchdown. I don't need to throw touchdowns. I'll just throw a bunch of yards and let him finish the work, apparently. Great game for us, obviously, but yeah, Jet Sims, I'll shout you out here on on the podcast because I can. Great weeks for everyone involved. We'll go to the defensive player for the week real quick, too. Benjamin Carter for Penn State in the loss to Texas. Linebacker Derek Davis, I believe that's his first appearance on this. Jacob, you can let us know. In the double overtime win in Kentucky. Safety Jeremy Schultz for Ohio State in the win over Georgia. Linebacker Brett Slate in the win over Oregon from Alabama. And then safety Dan Hansen from Miami again. And I think they might have accidentally not put Miami on the poll there. In the win over Colorado. So, Jacob, you went last time. I'll give you the first talk here. I assume you voted for Derek Davis?
Yeah, I did. I voted for my guy. He's a huge part of our defense. He was a huge part of our defense last season, and he's a monster. His stats on the season are even more impressive than his stats this week. But it was just one of those things where it felt like every time we needed a play on defense against what is, and I've said this over and over, an unbelievably talented starting lineup for Kentucky. Like that offense is unreal. And so for him to come out and just like make as many plays as he did, like I wasn't going anywhere else with my vote.
Yeah, so he has not won it. I was going to say, has he been nominated for Player of the Week before?
I think he's been nominated once before.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
That was
today is his birthday, so I got to give a shout out to my boy.
All right. Well, happy birthday to him. And actually, I'll bring this up. Apparently, all 3 of us, or 3 of us on this, so me, you, and Grin, we all have birthdays like a week apart. Is that correct?
No, it's me, you, and Canes, right?
Oh, Kane. Okay. Yeah, George, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, so everyone's having a birthday this month, I guess. Yeah, 24th, 26th, and 30th. That's where it was in the chat. So happy birthday, everybody. Alrighty. So I'll move on from that. Actually, I'll just stay because Miami had a player nominated as well, George. So I'll just go right back to you. Excuse me. And what was your take on it?
Yeah, I definitely voted for Danny there. 3-star love. He had just a well of a game going against one of the best running backs in the league, the other generational talent. So I was really happy for him to get showcased like that.
It was a very, very fun game as well. We talked about it already, but yeah, great game for him. And yeah, like you said, glad to get some love for some of the players that you don't hear about as often. And then Tom Grin, who'd you vote for?
I voted for, and this will make Yost happy. I voted for Dan Henderson. 10 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, and an interception at the safety position is amazing because that goes to show you that he wasn't just playing the run or the quarterback. He was dropping back and making a difference in the game. So I just, there were so many great guys on this ballot. But I mean, that's huge from the safety position.
Yeah, very, very fun to watch. And there's been a few safeties recently, Tom, that have been like top tacklers in the league. We had the guy from Pittsburgh that his name is eluding me now, who I believe won a Defensive Player of the Year a few years ago as safety. Let me check that real quick before we move on. Personally, I also voted actually for the USC guy, Derek Davis. 8 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, an interception, and a forced fumble. I always love it when there's a player that does so many different types of big plays in a game. And so that was my vote. And it was a great game and a big impact player and an impact win for USC. So let me check this Defensive Player of the Year award because I want to bring it up. Well, Davis won it, but then I believe, man, the Pittsburgh player. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna remember it, and it's gonna really not make me happy. But Davis won it as a safety just a few years ago, and he had what was it, 50 or no, 76 tackles that year, which led the league. 7
Yeah.
interceptions as well. So it was him and then the Pittsburgh safety as well. So I'll shout both of them out. Alrighty. Okay, so all-purpose player of the week. This one was a landslide for a Florida State player last week, and it was a little bit closer, I think, this week. I don't know who you guys voted for. I'll shout this out because I mentioned it in my article that, again, released today, as in yesterday for everyone listening to this. The Tennessee returner Ace Shepard didn't have a big game offensively, but had over 200 return yards. Cannot believe he did not get nominated, so I'll give him a shout out here. But Grin, who did you vote for?
So on on the game of the week, I actually voted for. I've got to pull this back up because I
All-purpose player.
yeah, I wrote on purpose. I wrote down. I actually took Lincoln Martin from Ohio State. 3 touchdowns on offense, but he still had a big impact on the kick return. I mean, 2 returns for 69 yards. It's pretty massive. It was again one of those things where it was tough to vote on it, but I mean, I just think he had just such an impact in that game.
Yeah, it was one of the bigger performances this week. I'll actually add in, I probably should have done this from the top. The nominees are LSU halfback Cade McLean, West Virginia wide receiver Hunter Dowell, Ohio State wide receiver, as we just talked about, Lincoln Martin, Oklahoma halfback William Avery, and then Notre Dame halfback Allen Norris. I'll move over actually to George here. Who'd you vote for? Oop, audio might be you're muted, George. I can unmute you if you need to.
Are we back on?
There we go.
I went with William Avery. It was actually for me. It was a decision between Lincoln Martin and William Avery. I eventually went with William Avery. The way the game went and the way Oklahoma's just surprising me. Uh, they are a really good team.
Uh, yeah, they might be the best team in the Big 12 right now. I think we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute here once we get into the games for next week. But very, very good performance from them. They beat a Notre Dame team to improve to 2-0 this season. Yeah, I mean, we'll go from there on that once we get to it. But very great performance from them. And then Jacob, your all-purpose player of the week.
Yeah, so I was torn between Cade McLean and then Hunter Dowell for West Virginia. I think the West Virginia was just a little bit of I got a lot of love for West Virginia. I spent 8 seasons there, but I ended up going with Cade McLean. I just felt like, I mean, 18 carries, 7 receptions, 5 kick returns, 3 punt returns, and he was effective in all of them. I don't know how you get much more all-purpose than that.
Yeah, he had a bit of everything. I think Mike's player had that a few weeks ago as well, Chili Davis. But yeah, I mean, for me, I voted for McLean as well. I'll just say that out front, Jacob. I was very close for me on this one. I kind of debated Lincoln Martin, I debated Dowell, and I debated Olin Norris. But I think I'm going to go with McLean on this. And yeah, great games from all five. I think this is a very tough week to decide that. This last one, I guess I'll phrase it in a different way because I think it's going to be a landslide who actually wins this for game of the week. Did anyone here not vote for USC Kentucky as the game of the week?
I voted for him.
I know Jacob did,
Yep.
and
Sa-
George, yeah, you did.
Same.
Okay, yeah, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. I thought LSU Mission was a great game. Oklahoma had a big win as well. Oklahoma Notre Dame was the other nominee, but I expect over 2/3 of the vote to be for USC Kentucky, if not more. Incredible game from start to finish. Congratulations again, Jacob, and you're staying number 1 in the country for it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, man. That was a tough game plan. That was one of those games that honestly, a lot like FSU in the playoffs last year, where I just spent the whole game on the verge of cardiac arrest. It feels like a lot of my games against these other great game planners seem to go that way. But and kind of a controversial call there at the end with the fumble. If you guys remember that, and they didn't get reviewed, and the game was over. And I don't know how many overtimes that game would have gone to if we didn't get that fumble recovery.
Yeah, it could have gone much longer. We've had a few games go for more, 3, 4, even 5 overtimes. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think I
Um,
would be here to be talking about the game if we had gone to 4 overtimes.
my first ever game at Auburn, I'm pretty sure ended. We lost. It was an overtime game against Clemson. I'm almost sure it went to overtime, and I could not breathe. Like I feel that on an emotional level. And Grin's been here since season 7 as an AD. He he has a few stories on that in Miami as well. Um, I think you guys had a playoff game, George, right? That went to overtime once or twice.
I can remember one. Yeah, it went to overtime, and we were on the losing end of it.
Yeah, not fun. I don't care if you win or lose. Overtime is cardiac arrest, as Jacob put it. I'm gonna maybe yeah, that'll be the name of the podcast, cardiac arrest. Um, yeah, I'll even make a note of it. All right, so week 1 stories. I think we've covered most of it, right? Kentucky USC, great game from there. And I'll go through the results real quick if there's anything else anyone else wants to bring up. I don't have to talk the whole time either, but you had the upset, obviously, Florida over Florida State. Um, you had, let's see around here.
Can I pause
Anything
right
else?
there just for a second? Like, I don't want to rub this in Grin's face, but what he has done at Florida, what's been done at Florida this season, turning around from last season and kind of beginning to change that perception. They deserve a shout out down there in the swamp.
Well,
No,
I completely agree. Oh, go ahead, Grin.
I'll give him a shout out. I think it's a very different game if we didn't see what happened on that 51-yard reverse safety out through the tunnel and into the parking lot. But no, I mean, I've always given Adam credit. He's an amazing game player, and he has totally turned that program around with what he's done. Just a great guy, a good friend of mine, and hats off to him.
Yeah, so great AD. And I know there's going to be some talk about that. Yeah, very. I don't know if interesting is the right word, but very. I'll call it entertaining for a neutral fan game, as rivalry games are. Though I know there could be some sour feelings on that one. Um, I'll bring it back here. So I will shout out in your same frame, Jacob. Not only Florida the team, but what a performance from the Florida quarterback. Jack Schmidt is sophomore.
Yeah.
I feel like there hasn't been enough talk about him. He had a big jump up in the JTR this week, I believe, as well because of it. Yeah, he jumped up 8 spots, and I'll shout him out because he was one of my players this week I highlighted. Great performance for him. Yeah, so anyone else want to add on anything to that?
The game was over at 2-0. And anybody that says that I'm full of shit, that's a fact, and I think everybody in here knows it. We talk about games and recaps from last week, that, I mean, I know Jacob, it's probably going to make Jacob giddy, but that USC game was just hellfire amazing. And
Nuts.
the
Yeah.
LSU game was, but the game that I don't think he's getting a lot of credit for was the Texas Penn State game. I mean, Texas got in a hole and just rattled off. I mean, I have to look at it, but I think they rattled off. What was it? Something like 21 unanswered. Yeah, they scored. 42 minus 35 unanswered points to basically be the difference in that game. And I mean, it was crazy because I thought Penn State was in total control going into the half.
Is that 2 seasons in a row that Penn State has given up 35 unanswered points and lost a lead?
I mean, it
Well,
was
the last time that happened was a little bit more dramatic, but yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it might be a bad number for them.
more on the line.
Well, okay, so yeah, let me recap that. So that was the Monday night game. 2010 is the score at the half. Penn State is winning at home. And shout out to Texas here, who had a bit of a stinker in week one, rallies back here in the second half to win. 42 combined points in the second half for Texas, and that is the difference. They did score 7, Penn State in the fourth, so I don't know specifically if like what order the points came in, but yeah, Texas. Penn State's gonna be reeling after that one, and Texas definitely a big win for them. It's not like Penn State has any room to rest. They play Grin Monday night, so
I mean, you talk about stuff like that. Man, me and Joseph sat in that room two poll with Travis, and they played, in the playoff game last year. And I know how much it hurts when have the perfect game plan and things just kind of unravel. And it happened to me. It wasn't last year. I want to say it was the season before against Notre Dame. We were just dominating, wiping them with the floor. And I think Notre Dame scored like 26 points in the fourth quarter and ended up beating us in a nail biter. We threw an interception. The game that cost us a game, but it's as an AD, it's so tough to get such a big lead and then just watch it milk away. So I'm not looking. I'm as much as Travis is probably looking forward to having to play me after last week. I'm not looking forward to having to play Travis after last week also.
it's gonna be a fun one for sure. And that is our Monday night second game again. The first one's gonna be Auburn LSU. And I think I'll actually even move over here, and we'll go to that next topic. How about the next week of games? Let me pull it up here. I'm going to. We do this every week now. It's kind of becoming a tradition. It's gonna be kind of fun because we have 2 new people on here to do it. We're gonna go through each game. We don't have to spend a whole bunch of time. We've talked about some of these games pretty quickly, but I'll get everyone's vote here on the podcast. I will remind you guys that if we all agree on the same team to win, they are now destined to lose, as UNC taught us pretty badly in week one. So just be careful who you choose, and we'll start with the Monday night games: Auburn at LSU, Florida State at Penn State. We've talked a little bit about all 4 of these teams already, and I know, Tom, what your vote's going to be, but I'll go with you first. Auburn, LSU, Florida State, Penn State. Who are your picks and why?
Man, I played LSU and I know how just good they are. And, Beard is, he's on my tree and he's going to be ready. I honestly, as much as I love Babineau, I've got to go with Beard because until he proves everybody else wrong, they've got to be the favorite for the game. So I'm going to go with Auburn. Florida State, Penn State's pretty easy for me. Florida State by 50. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be a mercy
All
rule.
right.
No, I'm joking. I'm trying to be sarcastic. No, it's going to be
No,
a
I'm
close.
holding you to it.
It's going to be a close battle, but I mean, if we're going to be funny and bring a little fire and get people to want to listen to your podcast more, I've owned it. Travis's butt when he was at Florida, and I plan on doing pretty much the same stuff to him with that Penn State squad. And I make my 100%, but it's fun sometimes to be a little rowdy.
Well, yeah. So Florida State for sure. I don't think anyone was surprised who you're choosing there. And Auburn, I would assume, is going to be the favorite. I think I'll move it over to Jacob here because we're going to start Tuesday's games first with George. I'll let you go last on this one. Jacob, do you have different picks, or are you going Auburn, Florida State as well?
No, honest, I'm gonna go LSU. I
All
think
right.
I think he's doing something there, man. I liked what they did last season. I think getting that grinded out win is going to put a lot of confidence in the squad, and I think they're going to carry it over. And then I'll be honest, I'd make this second game a pick 'em. Maybe just to avoid the all of us agreeing, I might go Penn State just to give Grin a chance. I don't want to curse him.
Well, you do have to choose a team. I commend you for avoiding that curse. And
Grazie.
that ties it too. Go ahead. Go ahead, Grin.
I said grazie.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
It's a
Um,
little Italian that, I am the no father, but and I don't mean to jump in and take over the podcast, but I agree totally with Jacob on this Auburn LSU game. I pick Auburn because Beard's just on a roll. But man, Babineau is doing special teams at LSU, and it's so hard to game plan for week one. So that game could have gone any way, and he's putting the work in, and he's been picking my brain a bunch. And LSU is sneaky good.
more than sneaky good. I think a lot. Yeah, they've been on. I don't know if this is their second Monday night game or if they've been on like Tuesday a few times. No, because they opened the season. I'm almost sure on Monday. Um, LSU is definitely building something. I don't want to. I know Auburn's going to be the favorite. But that's not because of LSU. That's because Auburn is. They've won 10 straight games in the regular season, and I will warn you, Jacob. You just chose Auburn to lose their first regular season game since season 19 when I was
I
there,
mean,
and I was not
I don't
great.
know.
I'll be honest,
I
but
hear they can lose. I do hear that.
that's true too. It is possible. We'll see in the regular season if it's possible though. And so we're tied there, and I guess it's up to me and you, George, to break the tie. Who do you have? Auburn, LSU, Florida State, Penn State.
I just want to say first, I haven't filled out my survivor yet because other than the Thursday games, there's just 50-50 all over the place.
Yeah, one
And
hundred percent.
and so I think LSU's defense has got something for Auburn, but I can't go against Beard's track record. So I'm going to lean Auburn that one. And then here we go, Florida State, Penn State. I will not be surprised at all if this is an overtime game. Not one bit. And I'm going to go, my boy is on Penn State. Shout out to Shane Thompson, aka Bolden. But I'm going to go with Grin and Florida State. That's where I'm going.
Alrighty, let's see here. So I'll start because now I get to make the picks, and I thank you guys for making it. Well, no, actually, I could make it a tie here. Now I'm in trouble, aren't I? If I pick LSU or Penn State. I'll go Auburn here, and the reason's very simple. They have not lost like literally since he's been there. Beard has yet to lose in a regular season game, so it'd be kind of hard for me to choose them in prime time against LSU. Granted, LSU is at home and in the swamp. I think this is gonna be a lot closer than people think, and I would even bet LSU to cover here on the sports book on Monday. But I agree with I think what everyone here has said. I am going to go with Auburn to win. I'm tempted to take Penn State here. I really am. They had a great showing in week one. Obviously, week two was a little bit tougher for them. Um, but I mean, I got Grin on the podcast. I don't know if he'd ever come back on if I didn't choose Florida State.
I
And
know.
not to mention,
Just be realistic. This is the you know
it's
this
gonna be a great game. Yeah.
this could be a pick'em game, and you wouldn't hurt my feelings if you pick Travis and Penn State. They've got a great program. I've got to basically bring some heat because I'm a little bitter right now in a good way. But no, you can take Penn State if that's what you really want to do. Don't try to make me happy.
Well, I actually will be taking Florida State, and the reason is very simply, I think Zeus Clayton, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the CFSL, if not the best quarterback in the CFSL. And I think we haven't seen what he's capable of, what he's done previous seasons quite yet. So I'm going to trust him, and I'll trust the most winning, or tied for the most winning AD in the CFSL. See if he can get a Monday night record-breaking win. I will vote for that. So Auburn and Florida State each 3-1. We'll move to Tuesday. And George, you'll get to go up first here because it is your team. Miami at Michigan is the 6:30 Twitch game. And then North Carolina at Oregon, which should be a sneaky fun game. I know you said a lot of games are close, and I think I would agree that these two games are pretty close in the sports book as well. But George, who are your picks? And you're still muted. Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna go North Carolina for the late game. I think Daniel's dialing it in. I know he got away from him last week, but I think he's dialing it in, and he's going to be a problem in the ACC when he gets to ACC play. Miami, Michigan has kept me up. I'm not gonna lie. The Cal book frustrates me. It's a
I
book
like it.
that it's a book I've had plenty of times, but I can't go against myself, so we go on Miami.
It'd be kind of funny if you did. But no, I agree with you. Love the Cal book, and yeah, I mean it's gonna be a great game. Just in general, I think pretty much every game this week's gonna be a great game, but can't say that for every game. I'll move on that though. Miami UNC, no surprise there from George, and I do think UNC will be the favorite, obviously on Tuesday too. We'll go with Grin here. What do you think? ACC rivals, you picking them?
You want to get a phone call as soon as this podcast goes live.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Aaron Ike. Go ahead.
But I mean, here's the deal, and I think George would agree with me. Miami is not. They've just been this wrecking machine of a defense for a few years with a very good offense, and Michigan's always been like a really good offense with a good defense, but they've been known for the offensive side. This is a pick'em game, and but I think it's a rebuilding year from what both these programs are used to being as the tops of the league. And God, Aaron, I love you, brother, and I hate picking against you, but I got Miami on this one. In the North Carolina Oregon game, it's like what North Carolina's done with we talked a lot during recruiting, and it was very disappointing for him and upsetting. But the guys he's got on the program, and they're bought in. I think it's for them. It's that me against the world mentality that we had at Florida State for the longest time and still do. And we, as ADs, we see the numbers that team is and what their overall is. But man, and I'm gonna piss Mike off too. But Oregon is just pissed after week 2, and I'm gonna take Oregon. I've got Miami and Oregon.
Alrighty. So we got some disagreement here too. I like it. Okay, well, Jacob, you're the last one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't pick Michigan to lose 3 games in a row. I've game planned for them too many times. I've seen just how hard that team fights. So I'm gonna go Michigan in a close win in that first game. I expect that to be a battle, but it keeps me up at night game planning, and I can't pick that to lose 3 weeks in a row. And then in that second game, man, I love what Trips is doing at Oregon. They've had a rough start to the season, but I'm going to pick North Carolina as well.
And just a backdrop on that, Aaron Ike, guys, he sits. If he's not working, he's working on game plans, and I mean this is going to be a war. I mean, he will keep you up at night. I've played him a couple times since he's been over there and lost and won, but he puts so much work in.
Well, I do want to say that before I make my picks that, I do think Aaron Ike, if he's listening, is going to be in your DMs, Grin, just for the very simple fact that you just chose an ACC rival to beat your former student. I can imagine a few conversations going your way.
This is supposed to be non-biased, isn't it? you know. And,
Well, I mean,
Of
there's a little
course.
bit of bias. There's a little bit of bias. I don't know.
plus with that, and I have a big chat room that's anybody that's on my tree, and I've learned my lesson. When I pick you to win, you lose. So
Ah, okay. So that you should have led with that, Grin. I think that would have made it a little better. Um, okay, so then it's my turn. So I am actually going to pick Michigan as well. I'll lead with that. I think that makes it a tie. It's our first tie of the week, 2-2. I think here's the thing with Michigan. I think Miami's a great team, and I hate picking against people who are literally on my podcast. Sorry about that, George. Uh, but Michigan 0-2. But if you actually look at their games, a point
Mm.
differential of -5. They've lost by 3 to Auburn, who again has never lost a regular season game since Beard's been there. And then LSU, a great win last week, 33-31. I think Michigan plays hot here. I think whatever their best settings, their best game plans, whatever they got, I think they bring it against Miami. George, you're in for a fight, and I'm going to take Michigan. UNC, I'm also going to take here, so maybe a UNC 3-1 win for Tuesday on the show here. I think Oregon's great, and I think they're one of the best rushing teams, one of the best rushing offensive game plans in the CFSL right now. I usually will take them in these kind of games, but UNC, I think they have a lot to prove after last week, and I think they are going to try to prove it here on Tuesday night on Twitch. And Oregon does, I think this is a different Oregon team. I don't know if they've adjusted quite yet in non-conference play. They'll have a chance in Big Ten play if they do end up becoming 0-3 to maybe make some adjustments. I think they kind of drew a bad matchup as well here. I think UNC is pretty good on the rush defense, if I remember correctly. Um, Also, I learned my lesson from picking against UNC from week 1. So there you go, Gun. Don't say I didn't ever do anything for you. Wednesday. All right, so this one's going to be a little bit quicker just because there's 4 games. However, if you want to specifically point out a team, feel free. I think the headlining game here is going to be that 6:30 Twitch game, Alabama at Texas. We also have Texas A&M at Florida, which is a copy of the game that just finished right now, actually, on Saturday night. Fun. Always fun in the fall when that happens in the CFSL in real life. Virginia Tech at Ohio State is the 8:30 game, a sneaky good game as well. And then Tennessee in their first Wednesday game of the season, they'll host Colorado. I think I had Grin go first and George go first. So Jacob, if you'd like to go first, feel free.
Yeah. Man, that first game is the tough one, isn't it? I think I'm going to pick Alabama in a close win, and then I'm going to go Texas A&M over Florida. Man, Ohio State's they're doing something, man. They got me watching a little bit more closely than I have in past seasons, which maybe I should have last season because a shirt got me. But I think I'm going to go Ohio State in that one, and then I'm going to pick Tennessee to get their second win of the
Oh,
season.
oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna pause right there because Tennessee. I wrote an article about them. We had a whole segment in week 1 after they beat Notre Dame, and then obviously we kind of put the damper on the party. Apologies to Tiny for a 55-6 beatdown, but um, there is an unreal, like I said, there was a non-zero chance they were going to start 3-0 after that first win, and obviously they had a tough loss last week, but I like that pick. I'm going to think about that one. I'm not sure yet on that game. So Jacob, thank you for bringing that up. Tennessee gets their first pick, and it doesn't have to be me. Grin, you want to go next on this?
yeah, I'll go next on this. I'm gonna agree on the Alabama at Texas. Texas had a big game last week and defeated Travis, but I really like what Ware's got going on in Alabama. And just to throw the salt on the wounds here, I'm going Texas A&M at Florida. Texas A&M's got something special going on there, and Ohio State. Yeah, I agree 100% with Jacob. I mean, assured is just he's got it dialed in right now, and I know how hard his coaches are working with him. I'm going to reverse it on the last one. And I think Skyler comes through, and it hurts to pick against Tennessee because I picked them in the week 2 and the guys that write articles, and they bit me in the ass. But I think they're going to reel. I still think they're going to have a great season, but I got Colorado and the nightcap.
I'll even bring that up because I think I did get a little bit of flack in chat for picking UNC to beat Texas week 1 and the content writers pick them, and then picking Texas in the podcast. But just as a reference from last week, Grin, yeah, you did pick Tennessee. along with Ware. There's 6 of us. And there was a few, like Oklahoma at Notre Dame. That was a big win for them. We all picked them. Then there's a few that were like that where, some people got them wrong. All right, so Bama's got 2 votes. A&M's got 2 votes. Ohio State has 2 votes, and we got a tie for Colorado, Tennessee. George, it is your turn. Who are you taking?
I think these first 8 games of I know I said it before, but I think those first 8 games, they can go either way. But I'm going Alabama, Florida, Ohio State, Colorado.
All right. Let's see. I'm just counting it down. So Alabama, and then you want Florida. So that's your first. Go into that real quick. Florida, A&M. You got Florida, and then Ohio State. You said Colorado is the other one.
Correct. Florida, they surprised me against Florida State last week. I did not expect that. Didn't see it coming. So I think he's got that team dialed in, and that's the reason why I'm going that way.
All righty. I mean, that's good enough reason as any. And then now it's my turn here. So far, Alabama's got 3 votes. A&M has 2. Ohio State 3, and Colorado has 2. They're the favorites, I guess, from the 3 guests. Ooh. Okay, so the first game this on Wednesday is gonna be the toughest one. I really want to pick Texas just to piss Ware off. But like I feel like I don't know. We can be a little bit biased, but I don't know if I can be that biased. And also, I just want to shout this out because we talked about it earlier. We talk about Aaron Ike and how dedicated he is to his craft. And Grin, that was a great point you brought up earlier. I want to put the same kind of energy to Ware. I feel like there's a lot of similarities there between those 2 guys and how they run their programs and the dedication they bring. So oh my God, I can't. If I pick Texas here, I avoid Alabama being 4-0 against them. But here's the thing: Ware has history at Texas as a coach, I believe, and I know from talking to him he does not like that team. I only have to pick Ware because of that. Don't say I didn't do anything for you, Ware.
Just for
Bama
his
4-0.
touchdown calls, you have to pick Alabama.
Oh my God, yeah, I had to. Texas A&M, Florida. Oh man, I mean, Grin, you put it pretty short there. A&M has something building there. Held my quarterback to 0 touchdown passes. That defense is legit, but I got to go with Florida here. I think they pulled a huge upset against Florida State, and I think Florida State has a lot more talent than Texas A&M right now in terms of just pure talent on the roster. I haven't seen the numbers. I don't have my PS3 working right now, but I'm going to go with Florida here, make it a tie because I think Florida is going to surprise some people this season, and I think that Florida State game is a great example of it. You never know, but I think that's a good one to put. I really wanted to pick Virginia Tech here because I hate 4-0s sometimes on the podcast for those cursed reasons, but I got to go Ohio State here. They're really building something. We're game planning for them a little bit here at Michigan State. We play them week 4, and I think they're going to be very, very good this season. They've much improved from last season, and they're pretty good last season. We mentioned a minute earlier, Jacob, they beat you. And then Colorado, Tennessee. This is the tough one. I really wanted to pick Tennessee for this. I just think Colorado is kind of woken up a little bit. Not that they were ever sleeping necessarily, but after Tennessee beat Notre Dame week 1, I think it kind of sent a message around the league. Tennessee is not to be trifled with, and I think Colorado's game plan from I don't think they're going to sleep on them. My pick goes to Colorado. So for Wednesday, Bama is the first 4-0 this week. We have a tie between A&M and Florida. Ohio State's the second 4-0 this week, and then we got Colorado 3-1 over Tennessee. And that will bring us to Thursday. We'll get this finished up here. My team, Michigan State at Clemson, starts at 6:30 on Twitch. Georgia at Oklahoma is the 6:30 YouTube game. 8:30 Central is the Kentucky-West Virginia rivalry game. And then we got a big rivalry at 8:30 on YouTube at Notre Dame USC. Jacob, I will start with you, but I'm going to be honest with you. USC Notre Dame, that seems like a game that could spell trouble for the new AD over there. What do you think?
Yeah, I've learned my lesson before about maybe overlooking a team, so I'm definitely not going to overlook this Notre Dame team. I think they've shown flashes on offense, and I think if they can kind of dial in on what makes their offense work, that they definitely have some talent there to really be able to score. But yeah, I'm gonna take my boys in that one. I think we have that. I'm gonna take Kentucky over West Virginia. Sorry, Murph. I'm going to take Georgia to beat Oklahoma. I think Georgia is going to be the first real good test for Oklahoma, and I think Georgia is going to win that one. And as much as it hurts me I think I'm going to pick Michigan State to beat Clemson.
I have nothing bad about picking my team. I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh,
Ay, ay, ay. I mean, we both hate Michigan. What's the problem? Okay, so Michigan State, Georgia, Kentucky, USC. Those are your picks.
yep.
All right. I mean, it's great explanations on those as well. I will mention, I love some of these rivalry games coming in on Thursday. I think it got on YouTube maybe just because there's a chance that Notre Dame at 0-2 is might be it might be too much of a task to beat USC, but I love that rivalry and it's gonna be a great game. And you never overlook your rivals. You're right, Jacob. So
Absolutely not.
I'll shout that out too. I know that from experience. Let's move on. I guess Grim went second last time. I'll give it to George here. Who you got, Kane?
I like I'm rooting for Clemson, but I like Michigan State with that one. Kentucky over West Virginia, USC over Notre Dame, and the one that I struggled with on the Thursday is Georgia Oklahoma. Um, but I agree with Jacob. I think Georgia is going to pull away in that one. I think it's going to be a close game for like 3 quarters, and then Georgia pulls away.
Alrighty. Not only predicting it, but predicting how it ends. Grin, so everyone's voted Michigan State, Georgia, Kentucky, USC. Are you agreeing with all four of those picks?
No, hell no. Michigan's one of the most talented teams in this entire league, but, and I'm not trying to upset you, Cole, and all my friends at Michigan State, but I think this is Wetzel's first win in the league. I'm going to take Clemson with the upset because chaos happens on Thursday nights. We found out last week. The Georgia Oklahoma game. I love DT Hall, but I think Georgia's just they're going to outlast them. My game of the week actually pick was Kentucky at West Virginia, and I'm taking Kentucky. I mean, 1400 Davis is amazing, and so is Murph. And West Virginia is going to dominate how they want to move the ball, and I just think Kentucky's going to shut it down. And Notre Dame, USC. Not to puff Jacob up too big, but this is the one game I think you can overlook because this is my controversy I'm bringing this week. It's USC mercies them, and they probably mercy them in the third quarter.
Oh boy. All right, so a few things to break down there. I did notice, Grin, that you just chose every team on that day that everyone else did except Michigan State. I will remember that.
It's no disrespect.
So it's all good. It's all good. I'm just joking with you.
It's no disrespect. Michigan State has an amazing program. When you look at that roster, it's sick. But I just think Clemson's due, and they're putting the work in. So every Thursday night you have that one shocker game. I was on the ass end of it last week, and I'm taking Clemson.
Yeah, no harm in that. You don't get banned for taking our opponent, I promise. But here's what I'll say on it because I'm not simming, I'm not coaching anymore, at least for now. From my conversations with the coaching staff, Clemson absolutely can win this game. We are preparing for it. Clemson's a very good team, and I think they have a lot more talent than the star ratings would indicate. I'll put it that way. Very good game planner as well from that Beard and then therefore Grin Tree as well and Logan Wetzel. Nothing but respect. I am going to pick my own team, and I think we are going to beat them, not just because it's my team, but because I think we have the talent to outlast them. I'm going to disagree with the group here on Georgia Oklahoma. I picked it as my game of the week in the SEC blog this week that came out, and I think it's going to be an absolute great game. Talk about a game that could go to overtime. This could be it, but I will take Oklahoma and be the one dissenter. Kentucky, West Virginia. There was half a part of me that wanted to pick West Virginia, and I feel like they could win here. This could be an upset pick. My only issue is that Kentucky has shown us, even in the double overtime loss to USC, that they can throw the football just about as good as anyone, along with Auburn. And I don't know if West Virginia has that pass defense, so I am going to take them, making them the fourth 4-0. And then USC Notre Dame. As much Grin as that might be a big. I didn't want to be the first person to say it, basically. A big claim that they might mercy them. I think USC definitely wins this one handily. I think Notre Dame, they still got some depth issues to work out, and there's some new recruits coming on the team. And I get it; it's the first season for the new AD over there as well. But Yeah, USC 4-0. I would not be surprised if this is a mercy. I am not going to predict that. I don't think it's going to be a mercy, but
I don't want any part of that. Any part of that predicting mercy nonsense. I just want to win the game and get to week 4.
at least on paper, USC is going to be heavily favored. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's going to be it for the predictions. We got pretty good timing through that, too. Only an hour, 5 minutes for the whole thing now. Auburn 3-1 over LSU. Florida State 3-1 over Penn State. A tie for the Miami-Michigan game. North Carolina 3-1 over Oregon. Alabama 4-0 over Texas. A tie, Texas A&M from Florida. Ohio State is also a 4-0 over Virginia Tech. Colorado 3-1 over Tennessee. Michigan State 3-1 over Clemson. Georgia 3-1 over Oklahoma. Kentucky 4-0 over West Virginia, and then USC at home 4-0 over Notre Dame in the rivalry game to close out the game.
Hey, Cole, just something to say, and she kind of tapped my door, and I had to mute it. My daughter plays for Florida, so I'm sure she's not happy that I did not pick her.
That's a good point. No, I should be a fun one on Wednesday. And actually, I'll even, before we move on to the chaos quiz here in a minute, I did notice this as we're picking a lot of road teams. That's 1, 2, let's see here, 3, 4. I'm just counting it. Not Ohio State. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the games of, what is that? 12 games. So 3/4 of the games this week we're choosing the road team to win. I just want to point that out before we move on because that's
Betters beware.
Sorry?
Betters beware.
Yeah. Good point too. All right. So we're gonna go to the chaos quiz here. And so we have a champion, a returning champion on this. Jacob, you ready?
As ready as I can be.
We have 2 new guys on here, so I will reiterate the rules for them. This is the Chaos Quiz. It is a game we play at the end of every podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun with 2 new guys. The rules are, the first rule is the first player to 3 points wins. You get 1 point for answering each question, or answering the question first, correctly. Pretty simple. Rule 2, the first person to buzz in gets the first shot at the question. The buzzer is each person's name. I am the sole judge on who said their name first, not the audio, because sometimes it can get kind of messed up. Players may elect to use a different word as their buzzer at the discretion of me. Jacob, we're just going to use Jacob again. Grin, do you want to use just Grin instead of Tom? That's pretty easy.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
All right. And then George or Kane, what do you want to do?
George is fine.
All right. So George, Grin, and Jacob, and they will be representing USC, Florida State, and Miami. Not in that order. I think I missed that up. Now, this is an important one, and we've had multiple players lose points on this, so I'm going to say it pretty slowly here. Rule 3, players, meaning you guys, cannot buzz in until I finish reading out the question and say go. So if you say your name before I say go, you are out. Any player who buzzes in early loses the right to answer the question. So again, warning you guys, don't do it. Don't lose the game on that because we've had that happen too. Rule 4, when called upon, if a player says the wrong answer, they cannot try again until each other player has attempted to guess. I've also added this because we've had cases where one guy doesn't know the answer, so he just sits there and looks it up for 20 minutes. They can also pass if they want to. If they're like, I don't know, we'll just have one other guy win it. Hopefully that doesn't happen here, but I did add that in. Rule 5, a contestant may say stop after I say go once per question for a verification, or I know, George, you had your mic issue. If you have an internet issue or you disconnect, we can say stop and just repeat the question. But rule 6, I will only say the question once, assuming stop is not needed. So assuming we don't have to restart the question and we don't have any issues like that, I'm only going to say the question once, so listen carefully. And finally, Rule 7, the most important rule, the prize for winning the game is the ability to change one rule of this game for the next week. The winner's team, again, Grin for FSU, George for Miami, Jacob for USC, has 48 hours after the podcast is released, which will be tomorrow, probably around noon, to come up and submit one new rule for each game. Rules can subtract other rules. I do have discretion or veto power to affect for rules that affect game integrity. If a player is not on a team after they win, which is not here, they get to make the new rule themselves. So you're playing for your teams, gentlemen. It's going to be a lot of fun. Do you have any questions about the rules here?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. And again, I did mention this before the podcast for you guys, but I'll mention it for the audience. The only 2 active rules, we had a few changes. We still have the good old Rocky Top rule from podcast number 6, where when you answer with your name, you must first also afterwards, when you say the answer to the question, just like Jeopardy, good old Rocky Top and then the answer. That's Tennessee's rule. And Alabama's rule from last week was changed. Texas A&M, their first win, and Cade Padgett, he won on his first appearance on the show. So maybe good news for the two of you newbies. Now the change from podcast 7 is no more. The player must follow their name with I whoop instead of roll tide. So again, you must say your name and then I whoop. And then when you begin the answer, you must say good old Rocky Top. If you do not do both of those things, your answer will not count. It will count as an incorrect answer. So that was a lot of talking, but I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Let's go.
All right. So I had to change some of these questions up. I have a few non-CFSL questions, but I think I'm going to start with just a regular CFSL question. I feel like it's going to be kind of fun here. So I'm just going to make sure I have my numbers right on this. Yep, I do. Okay. All right. So here's the question. In week 2, the content writers, all 6 of them, chose how many teams, 6-0, as in all of them chose it, the same team, to win this week? Go. And how many teams is the answer? Excuse me, go.
George.
ahead.
Whoop.
Go ahead.
Good old Rocky Top 4.
Correct. All right. So that's a good example of how this works. And I will remind the other 2 players as well. You can say, like, if George starts first, you guys can still say your name and what you think the answer is to get in line. You don't have to wait for him to answer the question. But George, you got 1. Again, 3 points to win. And this should be fun. All right. Debating if I should add an addendum to this question, but I will not. All right. Let's go with... Actually, you know what? I'm going to save that question for later. I'm going to go to this one instead. Here's the question. Who is the leading passer in terms of pure passing yards in the CFSL right now? Go.
Grin.
Right. I love it. Go ahead.
Good old Rocky Top. Claude DeBose, Oregon.
Nope. That is incorrect.
Jacob Iup.
All right, Jacob.
Good old Rocky Top. Jalen Tyree, Ohio State.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So it was pure passing yards. In this case, 995 passing yards for Jalen Tyree. So good answer. 1-1. Grin, you'll have another chance here. And this one was the one I was kind of saving, but I kind of want to throw it on there. Let's go with this one. Okay. So here's the question. Who are the leader or leaders in the category of missed field goals currently in the CFSL? Go. You guys say your name,
Grin.
Yeah, go ahead, Grin. That works. I'll count it. Yep.
All right, so we're going missed field goals.
Yeah. In terms of, well, I can't tell you say the answer of the question again, but yeah.
Okay, so good old Rocky Top, Charlie Ware, and Cody Brooks.
Incorrect. George or Jacob for the steal.
George. Good old Rocky. Good
Go
old
ahead.
Rocky Top. Michigan's kicker.
No, he is. Nope, that is not the answer.
That
All
was
right.
a complete guess.
Jacob Iup.
All right.
Good old Rocky Top. Chipper Stone, Oregon.
That's half the answer, but that's incorrect. Again, I'll say it again. It's the leader in the category of missed field goals, not percentage. Go ahead, guys.
Grin. God damn
Go
it. It's
ahead.
hard to fucking say Grin. I'm going to say, I can't even enunciate his name. He's at Auburn. And then I'm going to go with Chipper Stone, Oregon.
So I can't believe you would do Jeff's kicker like that, Grin. But yes, that is correct. Again, 2 missed field goals. They're both tied for the lead. And yes, I am making fun of Jeff here. Alexander Melanishin and Chipper Stone. It's not pure percentage. It is how many they have missed. So we are tied at 1, which actually, I don't know if that's happened a whole bunch in the history of this show. But I will stay on the stats questions just because it's kind of fun. And I like finding them. All right. So, is everybody ready?
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 All righty. Here's the question. Which team has the highest, or excuse me, let me rephrase that question because I think I wrote it differently here. Excuse me, here's the question. How many players does Penn State have that are averaging 30 yards or more on a kick return this season? Go.
George,
All right, go ahead.
good old Rocky Top 3.
So close, but nope, incorrect.
Grin. So
Go
tough.
ahead.
You make it tough. I'm good old Rocky Top, and I'm going to go with 2.
Bingo, and Grin is back in this race. Again, the question was how many are averaging 30 yards or more? There's only 5 players right now in the CFSL who are averaging it, and one of them only has 1 return, but it's Jet Griffin of Notre Dame, Hayden Carter of Georgia, Jalen Irvin of Miami, Corky Wilder of Penn State, and Benjamin Carter of Penn State. They're both averaging exactly 30 yards. I thought that was kind of fun to add in there.
George, that Scooter Swift got you, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to pull up my phone for this one. This one is kind of off the cuff, but I feel like now that Grin could win on this question, I kind of want to have some fun with it. And this is going to be in the subject. I usually don't give the subject either, but I'm going to be nice for the 2 newbies here. The subject of college football. And let's see here. I'm going to make this a little bit difficult, too.
Mm.
I'm not going to pick the question about Florida State, though, because rest in peace, Florida State, in their season.
F you.
Fine. I mean, fine. Oh, okay. Here's the question. And I might have to look this answer up, but let me make sure I have the answer actually ready to go because this is a pain in the butt. And I do not see it. Come on. My phone's kind of giving me a little bit of trouble here on this one. All right, fine. We'll do it this way. Here's the question. How many passing yards did Miami as a team have today in their win over Ball State in real life? Go.
I didn't watch the 4th quarter.
They're all furiously looking up the game score.
I had it, and I lost it because I hit the wrong damn button.
Rest in peace, Ball State as well.
Grin,
All right, Grin.
What is good old Rocky Top 354 yards?
That is incorrect according to the box score I am.
Jacob Ayub.
George,
All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Good old Rocky Top. And then what is? Oh goodness.
There's no need for what is.
501.
Okay, one moment. I am going to have a judge's ruling on this because I want to make sure. I don't know if it's like a different box score I'm looking at. Are you looking at the ESPN box score here?
No, but I think I did the math wrong. So
I got
Okay.
George.
You're up next, George. Don't worry. They've all answered, so now that you're the last guy, you can take as long as you need to look it up. But you are the Miami fan, so go ahead and answer. if you can.
346 yards.
Wrong.
That's not it.
Jacob
No.
Ayuk.
All right. Jacob's first. Go ahead, Jacob.
Good old Rocky Top 507.
There you go. Oh, man.
Total.
Yeah, total
You
passing
beat
yards.
me in. You beat me in, damn you, Jacob.
Oh, man. All right.
Uh,
So
I did
had
the
it on my
math wrong
phone.
the first time.
So the way that
you
I
just
got
put
it.
the Cam Ward.
Yeah. Well, so the way that I got it for reference is that I have an app called The Score on my phone. I think it's like default on every
That's what I
Android
have.
phone. And so that's what I use. Now, I have a feeling that because they won 62-0, that whoever was doing the box score might have fallen asleep. So that's why when you said 501, I was a little bit worried. But nope,
Yeah,
that's
I was
just
I was
total
looking
team
at
yards.
Cam Ward, but I mean you're playing Ball State. Gosh, I mean they should have probably had 700 yards passing in the game.
Could have been like Tennessee against Kent State tonight.
Yeah, no, that would have been not fun. And actually, I'll
Hey,
even add in.
and not to change the subject, I know I'm. How
You're good.
about Manning tonight?
Oh yeah, I
Unbelievable.
thought about doing a question about him tonight, but I didn't have anything to pull up pretty quickly. So let's do it. George, you have 1 point. Jacob and Grin, if you get this, you win. You both have 2 points. So this could be again for the win. And you know what? I'm going to bring this back to the CFSL. Here's the question. In his freshman season, this standout player that we talked about earlier on the podcast, quarterback Jack Schmidt, in his freshman season, how many passing yards did he have? Go.
Oh my God.
Jacob Ayuk.
Go ahead.
Good old Rocky Top 2,437.
And you are 2 for 2 on the podcast, Jacob. Congratulations.
Congrats.
You win again. And well, maybe not the most chaotic chaos quiz we've had, but maybe one of the more fun ones we've had. Thank you again, everybody, for playing. Unlike last week, and a certain AD decided to boycott it, and I think we're still unhappy about that. But congratulations, Jacob is our winner. Grin in second with 2, and George, we'll get you back on so you can have better than a third place finish. We all get medals for it, and that is the end of that. So I'd like to. I guess
Jacob, if
that's.
you love
Go
me,
ahead.
Jacob,
Go
if
ahead.
you love me, you'll make that world fear the spear. Because I'm getting 75 this week.
Oh my God. Okay, so for the record, Jacob, you don't get to choose the rule yourself. You got to ask your locker room. That is the rule.
Yeah.
But we're gonna release it Sunday at noon. I'll edit it tonight and put it out there tomorrow. You got 48 hours, so it'll be what, like Tuesday at noon? That sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
To get it done. And we will see what the new rules are. I might even put it in chat like I was supposed to. Should be fun. So, again, I'd like to thank all of our guests, 2 new guests, and a 2 for 2 champion. Jacob, you are the Chaos Quiz champion for now, as long as being the Season 20 champion. I'll let you finish this out first. How do you feel? You got 30 seconds to shout out your team before we finish and go off the air.
Nah, I feel good about my chaos quiz win. But I feel good about this USC season. You know, I've been telling my guys it's not about trying to go undefeated. It's just trying to put our best game on the field every week, get into the playoffs, and do what we know that we're capable of. So we are going to not overlook Notre Dame this week and just keep doing what we do.
It was only about 45 seconds. You had a pretty good. There was a guy a few weeks ago who had like 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks. I don't know, it felt like 2 weeks to have his shout out. So good work, Jacob. Grin, we'll see if you can do better than 45 seconds. You came in second. I'll give you the second shout out for Florida State. And thank you for coming on, but you have anything you want to say?
I just want to say it's been great to be on the show with you guys. Shout out Florida State and all the work the guys have put in. This has just been such an amazing group that I have in this locker room, and just to throw in Beard's face, he talked a lot of shit about how good his team was last year. Go look up season 14, motherfucker, because we won way more awards than you did. Just play.
Alrighty. And George, last but certainly not least, if you want to say anything about Miami, you guys got a big game as well this week. Floor is yours. You are muted, though. There you go.
Thanks to the coaching staff and everyone that we recruited and trusted me to lead their way this season through the CFSL. Uh, I just want to tell the guys that does mean a lot to me and the staff for them to put their trust in us like that. And I appreciate you having me on the show tonight.
It's been great to have you on, and that will do it. A little bit longer than we usually do, but I think it was fine. We had a big interview at the front. So I'd like to thank all three of my guests, my returnee, Jacob Cobb, the USC AD, and then our two new guests, Tom Pence, the Florida State AD, and George Yost, Miami's AD. Good luck to all three of you this week. Again, we start Monday night, 5:30, the Inside Blitz, 6:30, Auburn at LSU, 8:30, Florida State at Penn State. Tom's going to try to make some history in that one. I will not be on any of those, I don't believe, but again, thank you everybody for being on, and yeah, that's really all I got for myself. Should be another great week, and we'll see you all next week. Again, I'm going to guess that we're going to put the next week's podcast out on Sunday, but I want to hear what you guys think of the comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like, comment, all that fun jazz. I hate to be the YouTuber there, but it really does help the channel and the engagement in it, and it is really appreciated for myself and pretty fun. So, with that all said, I will end it here. Again, thank you all, and see you next week.